Hello once again, everybody, and welcome back to our top 5 countdown of depth in the organization. Today we're with the catchers, and we're going to start with the player that you know, Carson Kelly. Now, Carson's become a bit of a controversial, controversial isn't the right way of putting it, but he's been an interesting prospect to watch people react to during the 2017 season. He got called up in the end of July. And then there was a scandal involving Yadier Molina that I'm not going to get into. But the deal with Carson is everyone's kind of spoiled on his stardom, and you shouldn't. This is what I'll ask you. Carson only played in 30... Hold on, let me pull up the number. This is me being unprofessional. I apologize. Carson only played in 34 games for the Cardinals. After being recalled on July 23rd. Of those 34 games, he only started 14 of them, and 6 of those 14 starts came after Yadier Molina took 2 foul tips to his head and had to undergo concussion protocol. We don't know what Carson Kelly's capable of. He was never given the opportunity in 27 to show it to us at the major league level. I know that when I've watched him over the last 2 years at Memphis and Springfield, he has never stopped impressing me. He's fully committed to being a catcher. He gets in front of every ball that's in the dirt. He is a good pitch framer. He's a great game caller. Still has a lot to learn because calling a game in the minor league level is substantially different than calling a game in the major league level. But he's a really impressive kid. But just keep in mind that in that small sample size, there's no possible way to tell. Now all we do is we hold our breath and we hope that the Cardinals screwing with him from July 23rd to the end of the season didn't have irreversible damage or didn't do irreversible damage to his ability to progress as a prospect. I mean, it really could have halted his development. Fingers crossed, it didn't. Number 1 on our list of the 5 best catchers in the organization, easy, bar none, hands down, Andrew Knizner. When the Cardinals drafted Knizner out of NC State, he had only been catching there for 2 seasons, his sophomore and junior year. He was a freshman All-American at third base, and he was signed to play shortstop for him, but they already had Trey Turner, so that was never going to happen. Knizner's a hitter. He struck out 49 times in 361 at-bats. He takes a professional at-bat. He has a great slash line. It was 302, 349, 471, and he did that where for 2 weeks at Peoria, he was sick. He was sick, and he was still trying to fight through it, and that brought his stat line way down. If you look at the game logs, you'll see a 2-week span there right before he got promoted to Springfield, a couple weeks before he got promoted to Springfield, where his stats dipped off, and that was because he was sick. There were questions as to if he was going to stay at catcher. He's going to stay at catcher. His arm's strong. He still has a little mechanical quirks here and there. He still kind of reaches across his body to pitch frame. He'll give up on a pitch frame here and there. That needs to improve. Doesn't get low enough in his crouch sometimes. Sometimes he's a little bit too up. But he's really talented. He's come a long way. He has first base as a fallback too, which gets me excited because I think that his clearest path, obviously, to the majors is first base. I would imagine he'd be able to play third in a pinch too, but that's getting way off the subject. Andrew Knizner ended in Springfield. He'll be in Memphis next year, and he's worth getting excited about. The question is, does Knizner make Kelly expendable and vice versa? I can't tell you. Personally, I wouldn't trade either of them. Knizner's too much like Alan Craig, and I don't mean hurt Alan Craig or whatever happened after the ankle injury Alan Craig. I mean Alan Craig driving balls to the gap, hitting 10 to 20 home runs. That approach, Knizner takes the ball to right center field as well as anyone on this list not named Randy Arozarena, and he's a pure hitter at all fields. Number 2 on the list is Dennis Ortega. He's 20. He was in State College, finished in Peoria. His bat's light. You can see the potential in the bat. It hasn't quite manifested yet. It might not ever manifest, but he is a pure catcher. Everyone who has pitched to him talks about how great he is with the staff. He's advanced for a 20-year-old behind the plate. I personally believe his defense alone could get him to the majors, but he definitely needs to work on his approach hitting. He doesn't strike out a ton, at least not an unacceptable amount, but he needs to walk more and also hit for a little bit more power. I don't know what the future holds for him, but he has a chance. Number 3 on our list is Jeremy Martinez. Jeremy played first for the most part at USC. And then finally settled into catching in his junior year. He started at Palm Beach, again, Florida State League, where hitters go to die. There's no possible way to gauge exactly how well he did, even if you watch him on a daily basis at the plate, because those numbers are so skewed because of that ridiculous hitting environment. What I know is that Jeremy really took advantage of the ability to learn at the Jupiter Complex, at the Roger Dean Complex. And the catcher he was at the end of 2016 playing for State College was a kid compared to the man of a catcher he was at Memphis. He ended the season in Memphis for their playoff run because Memphis had some injuries with Gabriel Lino and Jesse Jenner. And the Cardinals wanted to shut Andrew Knizner a little bit to prep him for the AFL, the Arizona Fall League. But Martinez got a little taste of Memphis, and he did a really great job up there. I don't know how the bat's going to play. I don't know how his catching is going to play. I've got to see it over more than just 2 weeks. But I know that he has maintained a 1-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio up until this part. He only struck out 26 times this year and walked 24. That is a common theme throughout his entire collegiate and now minor league career. So keep an eye on Jeremy. He's really interesting. I'm writing off his 2017 a little bit, not a lot, but just a little bit. He's got a bright 2018 ahead of him. Number 4 on our list is Brian O'Keefe. Brian finished the year in Springfield, but spent most of the year in Peoria. Little taste in Palm Beach. That doesn't even count. Brian is 24 years old, and to just barely be touching Double-A kind of tells you exactly what he's capable of. For me, the guy I keep comparing Brian O'Keefe to is Keith McDonald. He was a guy who came up and hit a couple home runs in 2 consecutive at-bats as a rookie and then fell off the face of the earth. You hardly ever saw him. I think O'Keefe has that ability. He hits for power. He had 15 home runs and 22 doubles and 390 at-bats, and he's an okay catcher. He doesn't get rave reviews, just solid. You'll hear me say the word fine and solid a lot. Those aren't negatives. It's just the truth. He's fine back there. He's solid back there. There's nothing exciting. I mean, he's average. But he's kind of an interesting guy that if things fall right and the Cardinals need someone in a pinch, if he continues to develop and continues to do what he needs to do, you might see him for a DL stint, a 10-day thing here and there in a couple years. But, there's still a lot to be desired in his game. Number 5 on our list is Julio Rodriguez. Julio gets on the list. Admittedly, I don't know a ton about Julio. I know that his stat line is impressive. I know that when I listened to the Palm Beach games, they talked in an impressive manner about his skill set. And other than that, I can't give you a whole lot. This is a total stat line play for me. And I'm interested by him, and I want us to follow him together and see what 2018 looks like for him. He has a good body for it, and he seems like the athletic type. So we'll just hold our breaths and hope for the best. Our next man up is the most interesting player that I will bring up in all of these videos and all of these articles. Ivan Herrera is a 17-year-old catcher who won the batting title in the Dominican Summer League. He had a higher batting average at the end of the season than any other prospect in the Cardinals organization at .335. And he's really turning heads now. Again, he's in the Dominican Summer League, so let's not go all Magnura Sierra on him. Let's give him a time to breathe. Let's wait to really evaluate him until he makes it to a full season club, or at the very least, he's at State College or Johnson City. But let's follow him because he's really interesting. He hits for a good amount of doubles. He had 15 and 170 at bats, and for me personally, a lot of people would point to Jonathan Machado or Terry Fuller or Zach Jackson, Victor Garcia, Soler. They would point to those guys as the guys at the lower levels to keep an eye on. For me, it is without a doubt Herrera. I heard somebody raving about his defensive ability, and there's no telling how a 17-year-old is going to develop, but I see that hitting skill. I hear about this catching skill, and maybe here in a couple years, he's a name we're talking about, like I just talked about Andrew Knizner. That is it for our top 5 catcher discussion. Come back tomorrow, and we will give you the first baseman. It's bad. It's so bad. For everybody here at Birds on the Black, I'm Kyle Reis. Happy hunting.